Alright, Gospel Basslines family, hope everybody is doing great today. I'm going to work on an exercise today on using arpeggios to improvise bass lines. I'm going to use a small little excerpt of a song that most of us are familiar with. Everybody clap your hands, and I think, what is that, New Direction of Joshua's Troop? I'm sorry if I picked the wrong person, I do apologize. I just really like the groove to it, and it's a groove pattern that's used in a lot of praise and worship songs that come from that kind of style, that vibe, that chord progression, that 1, to the 4, walk it up 6, 7, 1. And so I'll play through that progression. And today I want to work on how we can use arpeggios, and just we'll just start with arpeggios first, and we'll add other things to it as well. How we can use arpeggios to improvise this bass line. So we're going to start off the song in the key of D flat. I'm tuned standard, so my D flat is on my low B string, 2nd fret, and I've got my D flat major scale. So make sure you're in tune with me. That's what I'll be working on right now, D flat major. Let's walk through the chord progression. What is the song called? This is the way we praise. Everybody clap your hands. This is the way we praise Him. So the groove of the song, if you just kind of get the beat of it in your head, you got the drums. Now the reason why I'm doing that, I'm singing that line to myself and kind of bobbing to it to get the beat kind of get the beat really in me. A lot of the improvised bass lines, before you can start adding notes, you got to really have the feel of the song on the inside. So if you can kind of bob your head and just hum stuff to yourself, you can come up with some licks and things you can add in, and everything will always be in time. Okay? So let's work on that. We're in the key of D flat major. Okay, so we're in the key of D flat major. And let's go ahead and let's walk through the line, the chord progression. We start on D flat. So the 1, the 3 is a passing chord to get to the 4. And then we walk it up 6, 7, 1. I like to use that fingering again for a reason more than I like to use this one, 6, 7, 1. The reason why I like to use this one here is because I have more notes at my disposal, more things I can do when I'm in this position. That's just my preference, to walk up 6, 7, 1 that way. So 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 1, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, and hit that 5, da, da, da. So that's the basic groove of the song. Well, let's look now at the chords that are being played. The first chord, D flat major, passing to the 3 is still D flat, it's just inverted. We're putting the 3rd in the bass now, but we're still playing a D flat major chord. So theoretically, on that first D flat chord, if I spell out the chord, 1, 3, 5, 1, D flat, F, A flat, D flat. 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. I just spelled out the chord. In other words, I arpeggiated the chord, or I played an arpeggio, a D flat major arpeggio. That's that first chord. That applies to the first chord and the 3 chord. It's the same chord. It's the 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. Because it's not a true 3 it's actually the 1 chord just inverted. In other words, we took a D flat major chord where you have D flat, F, and A flat, and we just inverted it. In other words, we took the 3rd and put it as the bass note. So you get 1, 3, 4. So you really have D flat major to G flat major. When we get to G flat major, we can arpeggiate that. 1, it's a major chord, so we can play G flat, B flat, D flat, G flat. 1, 3, 5, 1. And then when we get to the 6th chord, it's a walk up, so it's 6, 7, 1. Now, what can you do on that 6, 7, 1? There's so many different possibilities. The B flat, D flat, but it actually is really not a true minor. So if we play the B flat minor, B flat, D flat, and F, that's not really the chord that's being played. If you listen closely, a lot of those walk ups when you hear 6, 7, 1. In those fast songs like that, it's really the 4 chord inverted. In other words, it's a G flat major chord with the 3rd in the bass. So it sounds, if I can spell this out in this low register. So that's what you're not really hearing the minor. You're not hearing. That's not what you're hearing. You're hearing. So you're hearing G flat major chord with the 3rd in the bass. You know, I'm trying to spell that out. And you hear the same thing on the 7. You're really hearing the 5. You're really hearing an A flat major with, again, the 3rd in the bass. So that A flat, C, E flat, and A flat. You're just hearing the 3rd in the bass. So you're hearing a G flat major with the 3rd in the bass, an A flat major with the 3rd in the bass, and back to C. And that's the reason why that's so cool, is that it gives you so many opportunities to really use those 3 arpeggios: D flat major arpeggio, G flat major arpeggio, and the A flat arpeggio. And you can improvise off the whole song off of using those. Now, I played all those in pretty much the standard position. Practice playing arpeggios in all the fingering positions you can possibly fit into a comfortable, playing environment. For example, I could play this way, or I could play 1, 3, 5. Now notice that, especially descending, this is a very easy way to play arpeggios descending. If I'm on the 1 here, 5 is right underneath it, 3 is right there where my 4th finger is. So a lot of times you hear like fast descending arpeggios, and you're trying to figure out how they, well, you can do that, but it's so much easier to do this. So everything's right there. So really build up that 4th finger. And the reason why I do this one a lot, you'll see in a minute when we start playing, when you're grooving, it's a lot easier sometimes to get to versus and then get back into the groove. So work on all the different fingering possibilities you can for those arpeggios. Learn them inverted: 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. Right. And so just kind of work on all of those. As far as fingering goes, most of the time you're going to use finger, 1, 2, and 4. You have to just kind of find out what's most comfortable for you. You do want it to be something that is logical. You don't want to be stretching 2 fingers to do all the stuff. You want to kind of spread your fingers out over the frets and kind of use the fretboard as a guide to which finger you should use. So try to spread them out. Let's try with the music. Let's hear what we come up with. So again, we're just working with our arpeggios. Now remember, I talked about the groove, right? You got that dun, 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 dun. Let that always be your foundation, and you can build off of that. When I'm doing that 6, 7, 1 bass notes, which is really the 4 chord, 5 chord, back to the 1, I can do a lot off of the 4 and off of the 5, and I'll try to mix up some of those arpeggios. It's going to be a little quick, but hopefully you'll get the chance to kind of hear it in context, and you'll be able to pull the stuff apart easier because now you know it's all arpeggios. I might even throw a little major pentatonic in there. Since we're in the key of D flat major, I can ride that over this entire song. The reason why I can do that, they're all major chords in a very simple chord progression. 1, 4, 5 is pretty much what we're dealing with. If you want to be honest, the nuts and bolts is 1, 4, 5. So we can, it's all major, so we can deal with D flat major pentatonic. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. 1, 2. Let's have a little fun and just keep it bouncing, keep it grooving. Remember, the groove is always most important, so I'm going to try to squeeze some of those arpeggios in like a little groove fashion. You'll hear me do stuff like this. And all I'm doing, arpeggios coming down. So 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 1. I'm already on that 3. So that's the 1 chord, D flat major arpeggio descending, the 4 chord descending, the 5 descending, That's D flat, A flat, F, G flat, D flat, B flat, A flat, E flat, C. And you know, so let's try to mix it up, see what we come up with. There's our groove. The groove is in my head. Here we go. On the 5, 2 times. So again, those were some ideas, and you know, a lot of that was just arpeggiated lines, so just keeping it in the feel. Ba ba da ba ba da ba 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 da ba da ba da da ba da da da. And so I'm just playing 2, 5, 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5, 2, 5, 5. So a lot of those kind of patterns are happening. That 1-5 thing. So experiment with that, have fun. Again, let me know what I can break down more, and there's more that we'll add to this. We'll talk about, I'll use the same musical excerpt, and we'll add some other ways to pass through these chord progressions and some cool things that you can try out, you know, technique-wise, feel-wise. So have fun with this. Hopefully this is a blessing to you. Thank you again. God bless you. We love you from Gospel Basslines. Have a great day.